I really like what you said about creative having two sections, right? Idea and design. I think of ideas as like cool ideas, concepts, themes, narrative, story, all those things. And then I think of design is sort of like having all your ducks in a row and then creating from a foundation where you feel like you have some kind of direction. So tell me a little bit about those two pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I think they work hand in hand, but that's how we think of it. So the first one, the idea side of things, we typically call creative strategy, which is just, basically meaning thinking about the results, thinking about the ROI, thinking about the ideas, borrowing from those other spaces. It's really that kind of like whiteboard moment where you're kind of like brainstorming, right? No idea is a bad idea. And the goal is to come out with a concept. But there's a lot of inputs that go into that concept and kind of what makes a good idea. The other side from our world, certainly because we're doing events, is the creative design. So that's very much your visuals. How does it look? Within that, we kind of look at 3D and 2D separately. So 2D is your graphics, your signage, all that. 3D is your kind of environmental design. So there's quite a bit of synergy between the two, but it really is an A then B. At least in our world, like the creative strategy is the first part. And then once that kind of has been locked in, then our actual designers, and that's more of an art direction thing, kind of go to town. One thing that's kind of interesting, like how we like to think about the ideation process in that creative strategy side of it is, again, we start with ROI. I know I said that a couple of times, but like we try to the word we use is like reverse engineering. Like we try to look at what we want to accomplish and then work backwards. And obviously coming up with something cool and original has to be a part of that, but starting with the result is a pretty good way to know that you're going to finish with the result you want. I think a lot of agencies start with cool. Let's put it that way, right? They go like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if, which is great. You need to be cool. You need to be clever. You need to be breakthrough. You need to be original, all of those things. But you also need to be pointing and pushing towards a result. Cool for the sake of cool might not get the pickup you need. It might not get the social traction you need. It might not get the butts and seats you need, whatever it might be. So that's kind of how we approach the kind of creative strategy side. And then the art side is a little bit more traditional, right? It just depends on the day. There might be, if we're building, literally fabbing something, we're probably going to work with a fabrication partner. There might be architectural plans. There might be engineering approvals. Obviously, all the nuts and bolts of events, right? Is it over a certain height? Then we need to go to the city for approval. All those things that everybody kind of can get in the weeds on. But we've got a full team, and then obviously we work out of house because sometimes the best people, particularly on the execution side, are groups like yourselves who are in the weeds every day, designing, building, fabbing, all that awesome stuff, which hopefully if we do our jobs correctly, we're stronger in the creative strategy side of things. We could certainly execute an event, but there's lots of partners I think that we could bring in to help us do that.
Yeah, man. I mean, we even outsource some of our fabrication when it gets into some of the bigger, cooler stuff. When you start talking about like making things from foam and all cool, so some of that stuff's even outside of our stretch as a company that does a lot of that work. I thought it was interesting. I've always long thought this. We've worked with agencies on our side, with agencies who come to us to build their client a trade show booth or work on an activation. And then I also know my industry, the trade show and event industry. I've long thought agencies swing and miss just because they're designing cool, right? And then the event in the trade show world has gotten locked into design without the idea, without the strategy, without the intention, right? So it's kind of two totally different worlds. So when you're saying things like, you have to do A before B, that strategy, the idea. And really what I heard you say was to begin with the end in mind. What are you looking to achieve? To me, that's just like, no matter whether you're a trade show company, an event company, an activation company, an experiential company, whatever in our space, you need to do A before B, right? Or you just need to be B, or say you just need to be C, that's fabricating, and you need to just be excellent at it, right? But if you're going to do a little bit of both, if you're going to do A and B, idea and design, the idea has to come first.